Hi everyone, I'm Sarah Sturgis and I work for a company called SMRS. SMRS are an employer branding and employer marketing agency. So today I'm here to talk to you about employer branding. I'll be taking us through the first part of the presentation, and then I'll be calling up my client, Rob Devlin, who will come and present the last section of the presentation for us today. So the first thing I wanted to do was just be very, very clear around definitions of employer branding. There are lots and lots out there in the marketplace. So this is how we like to describe employer branding. So it's what people think and feel about you as an employer and as a place to work. It's an organisation's reputation as an employer and its offer to its people. There's a lot of terminology about EVP, employer value proposition. For us, the EVP sits inside the employer brand, so it's the key things you would communicate about yourself is where you communicate that EVP outwards. To make this presentation useful for you as well, one of the things I wanted to include was some numbers to back up why employer branding is important. So I think a lot of people in the room are in the resourcing functions of organisations. So critically, one of the things that you want to understand is that an employer brand will benefit you in your everyday roles. The way in which it will do that is, some of the stats here, these are from LinkedIn, Glassdoor, various other places that you can gather lots of information about employer branding from. But 54% of people said that by having a successful employer brand, it increases the candidate pool. So in effect, by investing in your employer brand, you're more easily able to influence people to come to your organisation. 67% of job seekers said that they'd accept a lower salary. I've heard a lot of conversations today about people saying, we're not the best payers. What else can we promote? What else can we tell people about our organisation? And ultimately, those key things that are unique about you and that makes you special are the things that you should be pushing out there to combat any salary discrepancies. 83% of businesses agree that employer brands have a significant ability on hiring, but also retaining staff. So a huge amount of your issues will be people leaving. You have to fill those gaps that those people leave behind. So investing in your employer brand to keep people within your organisation is critical to reduce the number of people that you are out there trying to pull in. And also, in terms of cost per hire as well, a 43% reduction. So they're just some numbers to back this up. If anyone's building a business case, we're more than happy to share with you even more stats around why employer branding is important. One of the things I also wanted to give you today is an indication of how easy it can be, or how difficult, to develop an employer brand. So we've created a little video, and this takes you through 6 different stages of developing an employer brand. So it might be worth having a think as we go through this, where you might be on this journey, what you've got around your own employer brand, and also whether this would be helpful for you. It's quite quirky, so as a little warning.
Oh my God, I love being part of Talk. It's so exciting. They all sit down and you get to hear everything the client wants and hopes for. You find out how big the project's going to be and where it's going to go, what's involved and who's part of it. Everything, really. It's the first time you get to see the big plan coming together. Oh, it don't half get you excited about what's to come. It's amazing.
Oh, I just like to listen, me. And that's what Dig's all about, I suppose. You get this lovely full picture of what a business is like. I mean, really like. The culture and the personality and values, who they are and what they stand for, that kind of thing. You get to meet all kinds of people along the way and hear their stories about why they love what they do and where they work. It's really interesting. It's a privilege, if you ask me. And it's very important because it gets you right to the heart of the business.
Develop looks fascinatingly messy, doesn't it? Well, don't you worry about that. You have to get it all up there if you're going to get back down to the very nub of the thing. And that's the magic for me. It's wonderful. Taking all you've learnt and boiling it right down to those few key things that really sum up a business as an employer. The proposition and attributes that the brand's going to be built on. Watching those base elements emerge from the chaos, it's utter alchemy.
Oh, Express! Wonderful Express! Creativity, darling. This is what Express is. Develop gives you the heart of an employer brand, but Express gives it life. How? Art, my love. Language, style, drama, passion. This is what an employer brand should be. If your story's worth telling, tell it beautifully. So we find the right words, the perfect visuals, we set the stage, dress the cast, and prepare the employer brand to absolutely shine. And me? Oh, I'm just humbled to play my little part in La Performance Extraordinaire. Share's a real team effort. Yeah, it's got to be if you want to win hearts and minds. I'm only a promotional item, but we've got the ads out there, putting in a shift in the papers and online and that. There's the website, huge respect for the website. There's the video and social lads too. There's doing great work on all the platforms, all working together, to get the employer brand out there, inside and outside of the business. It was giving it 110% all day long. Because, at the end of the day, it's not about me. I'm just happy to be part of the team, yeah.
Tune, most important bit if you ask me. You can't just do an employer brand and then leave it to sit there. It'll rust, seize up. And then where are you? Now you've got to tweak it, tap it, see what's working and what's broke. Give it the old MOT. I mean, businesses change all the time, don't they? And if your employer brand don't change too, well, that ain't going to do the job anymore, is it? Not properly anyway. And that's what I'm here for. My advice? Speak to the experts, mate. Is that all right? Yeah? Great. Now, I'm in the mood for a cup of tea. And I definitely fancy a biscuit.
There we go. So I think that kind of gives you a bit of an idea of the different stages of employer branding. But what we also wanted to take you through now is a few case studies. So some case studies of what else an employer brand can do for an organisation. The first one is that an employer brand can capture emotions. And for one of our clients, Mencap, we developed their employer brand to help them deal with very high attrition levels. So one of the issues that Mencap had was that they weren't necessarily attracting the right people. They were attracting people who just wanted a job, really, rather than accepting that it was a very, very tough environment to work within. So one of the things we wanted to do for Mencap was to help them explain that working there meant that you needed to, in effect, be able to deal with quite a challenging environment, but also that there were so many positives that came out of working there as well. So, a mixture of emotion, of joy, of supporting people, and also not getting away from the fact that if you were the right kind of person, it could be a very rewarding opportunity for you. As a charity, Mencap didn't have a big budget to spend on their employer brand. So the work that we did with them was to move away from their existing activity that was around recruiting in high volumes and reallocate some of that budget to invest in their employer brand so that they could move forward. So the concept that we developed for them was work with feeling, and there's a video that I think the videos really bring it to life far more than anything else. And everything that was involved in this video came from individuals who were interviewed. So there was around 14 different profile videos, but they were all collated together to make one overarching video that sits on the careers site right now and really pushes across the challenge, but also the fun that Mencap has.
This is the best job I've had, without a shadow of a doubt.
Every day is a different challenge.
Mencap actually give me the chance to grasp it with both hands.
You feel proud to get out of bed in the morning and go to work. You feel proud when you finish your job at the end of the day. You've actually got a purpose every day when you come to work, which is wonderful, to be honest with you.
It's never just like 9 to 5 in front of a computer. It's just a lovely, supportive environment.
Mencap is, for a lot of people, everything that they'd ever wished for.
The other thing that an employer brand can do, it can really bring your values to life. Some organisations aren't clear on what their values are. And I think through employer branding, what we're able to do is to check any values that you've got already in your organisation, but then also to look at how those values are lived, what the examples of people living those values are, and how you can use them to get your people involved and to actually promote your employer brand as well. So for Kerry Foods, they came to us to say, look, we are one of the biggest businesses that nobody has ever heard of. And what ultimately Kerry Foods wanted to do was to get their people involved. They'd gone through a programme over about 18 months with their leadership team to develop some values. But what they were finding was those values weren't being taken externally, so they weren't helping with attraction. So what we did with Kerry Foods was we took their values and we made a story that sat with each of their values. They said two things to us. Our employer brand has to be about our people, and it has to be about the fact that we're a food business. So what we did was we created these real food scenes. So every value had a food scene that sat with it. So the lemon rocket. And then also what we did was we body scanned a number of their people to put them into these scenes. So there's a video on the next slide that will explain the process of body scanning. And how that, in effect, makes sort of mini people that are freakily like you. The different values that we had were ownership, courageous, open-minded, on it, better together, and forward-looking. All of these values were felt within the organisation, so our job was to package them and to take them externally so that more people could understand why they would be the right kind of people for Kerry Foods. So the food scenes were interesting to develop. They were all done by a food stylist and a food photographer to make sure that all of the different pictures were able to be used in high resolution across the career site, and then also even into things like large billboards or pop-up stands, things like that. So this ran across all of their comms. If you look at their career site, you'll see a lot of this content on there.
Today we've got our employer brand coming to life through our employees. So we have about 14 employees flying in, training, carring it here to Egham, which is our head office, and we'll be filming them today. So their own personal story of Kerry Foods, whatever that looks like in whatever form.
It had to be about food and it had to be about people. What we wanted to do was to make sure we involved real Kerry Foods people, their real stories, and get those in throughout the whole project.
So we'll be body scanning them for some mini models that we'll be using as part of their story on our careers website, and then we'll be sprinkling them throughout our actual website itself.
We're here today scanning employees of Kerry Food to be turned into little figures. We're going to add them into pictures of food.
We've done a shoot already where we've created food models. So what we wanted to do is take it a step further and make it more real. We're going to get the little 3D models from today's shoot. We're going to then photograph them, put them in situ and tell the Kerry Food story.
It's about bringing our employer brand to life. It's about getting people to really connect with us. We have great values in this company. It's about getting people outside to understand that and really feel the passion that we feel internally.
Here at Kerry Foods, the values were very well embedded. Our job really has just been to take them further, bring them to life, connect them to their people, and to actually use them in all of the marketing materials for the employer brand.
People are everything. They're the heart and soul of the business. Without people, you have really nothing. So I guess today is an opportunity to take our soul and really amplify it to the external audience.
It's about, how different characters and different people really bring the company to life.
I've literally just come off the scanner. It is weird and wonderful, and there's thousands of little photos being taken at any one time.
The model scan is something that we've never done before. I've never seen happen before. So yeah, really cool.
We are a bold business, and I was really keen on doing something completely new and unique. And I think we've done it here today.
The body scanning's been gone down so well. A large number of the leadership team have asked if we can do it again and get them involved in it as well. So I'm going to invite Rob Devlin up now from mydentist, and he's going to talk you through some work that he's doing at the moment around their employer brand.
Cheers, Sarah. Hi, everybody. Great to be here today. I was asked to come and share the journey that we're on at mydentist. So I've been working with the business now for just over a year. I'd never heard of them either, in case you're wondering. So we're actually one of the largest private healthcare businesses in the UK. We're two separate businesses. The first one is a practices business. We operate around about 700 dental practices. And the second business is a dental supplies business. So we're integrated. And I was brought into the business in November 2016 to have a look at the resourcing strategy. So at that time, we were having massive problems. So we basically couldn't recruit dentists, and there were a number of reasons for that. The first one being that there are simply no unemployed dentists in the UK, so it's very difficult for us to attract clinicians in. And secondly, we just didn't have a standout employer value proposition at all in the market. So even if dentists were available, there wasn't really anything that was setting us apart. So very quickly, we realised there was a real need to completely reinvent ourselves and look to create an employer proposition which would give people a reason to come and join us, but most importantly, give people a reason to stay with us as well. So we actually do have a lot of great reasons to work with us. A lot of people in the dental industry or in private healthcare are very motivated, for example, by continuous professional development. And we actually have one of the best training academies in the UK, if not in Europe, but people simply didn't know about it. We also offer really great levels of flexibility to our colleagues, and with it being a very female biased industry, again, it should be something which is a really compelling reason to join us, but we found that we just weren't getting the cut through, and we just had a hangover from previous years of being this really big sort of bad corporate business which has swallowed up loads of former independent dental businesses and wasn't really a great place to work. So to give you an idea, when I started in November 2016, we had 900 vacancies for dentists on day one, and we're now down to 300. That's just over 12 months in, which is significant progress, but we've still got a very big way to go. And as well as recruiting dentists, we obviously need to recruit the nurses, the receptionists, the practice managers, etc., etc. It's quite a big recruitment operation. The first thing that I wanted to do when I arrived was kind of review where we were up to at that time, because we'd already done quite a lot of work around our employer brand, and part of that was research-based. So we'd started to gather some really useful data which helped us understand the reasons why people wanted to work for us, but we didn't feel that information, as it was at the time, gave us enough information about the reason why. So we understood, for example, that flexibility was an important thing, but we didn't really have the next level of detail around the why. And often in the way we wanted to tell the story of us being a great place to work, it was those very human stories that we needed to get to. So one of the first things that we decided to do was to build on the research that we already had, and we went out to 2,000 of our colleagues, which is just over 50% of our entire headcount, and we asked them to tell us more information about the reasons why they chose to stay with us. As well as surveying across all the different roles, we also did loads of work to engage our exec and our senior leadership team. We've gone through quite a big transformation at the top level of the business, so it was really useful to get our exec members engaged up front and get them to start sharing their vision for the business. And one of the things which was really interesting was that whilst we developed a very solid patient proposition, similar to a consumer proposition in retail, we really didn't think that through in terms of what that meant from an employer lens. And actually, when you dug into it, we didn't really have a purpose or any values as an organisation. So what became quite clear up front is that we actually needed to really get clear on our purpose and what those values were as a business, because with us being private equity backed, the actual purpose is very much about making as much money as possible for our investors in the next 2 years, but clearly that isn't a great reason to come work for us if you're an employee. So we undertook quite a lot of research, and what that led us to is 6 key brand attributes. And what was quite interesting was, as we went on this journey, it became quite clear to the exec that these employer brand attributes could really lead the values-based work that we were doing as well. So some of the brand attributes that you see on screen here won't come as any surprise, and most of these were attributes which were quite close to the business anyway. So for example, the attribute around patients first, you would argue that any healthcare business you would expect to see that front and centre in terms of what our employees valued. But some of the new brand attributes, so for example on the left-hand side, relentlessly ambitious, is actually a new value that we've introduced, which is a signal to the fresh leadership that has been brought in at the top of the organisation, and really is about us as a business wanting to be industry leaders and becoming much more a voice for dentists across the whole industry, rather than just being a voice for the dentists that work for us at My Dentist. The other brand attribute which came out really strong from the research was community matters. So what came out of the second, more detailed piece of research, that was our dentist in particular felt a very strong sense of community, and that was articulated in a number of different ways. So community in the sense of the community of people that worked in the practice alongside them to enable them to deliver great patient care. But what also came out was a really strong sense of community around the community of patients that they serve. And we felt this was a really, really powerful emotional connection back into reasons why people became a dentist. And it wasn't something that we previously articulated in a very strong way. So through the research, what we started to do was do more and more testing. And we realised that particularly the new elements of the employer brand always came back very positively from the testing in terms of how we wanted to articulate and express ourselves. So I really set SMRS the challenge to go away and to transform these brand attributes into something which would give us a real standout factor in the industry. And traditionally, a lot of healthcare consumer and employer brand work would be very photographic biased. It would be quite sort of obvious. And I wanted to do something, and the exec also shared the vision that we needed to go out there with something which was quite different. So the creative style that we've decided to go with is much more illustrative-led. So sneak peek today. This is the new creative essence that we're going to be working with, and we're going to be looking to apply this across all elements of the employer life cycle. So even though this started as something which was very much rooted in attraction and recruitment advertising, we're now looking to embed this across all aspects of the employee life cycle. So from attraction through to onboarding, induction, learning and development, engaging appraisals, leadership development, it will all be anchored around the creative that you see here. And the spirit of the campaign is very much about trying to create this sense of community. So we feel that the illustrative style will really set us apart from our competitors and a lot of other businesses in private healthcare, which are still very much photographic led. And the thing which we really like about this is we're able to be quite playful and provocative. So as well as using the illustrative style, we're going to be able to bring these characters to life, these sort of avatars, by creating video content around different dentists, practice managers. So particularly with the career site redevelopment, you'll be able to click on the different people that you see. It will take you through to video content, which again will bring things to life. We're applying this across all of our selection tools as well, and we're looking at things like gamification for some of our audiences, such as nurses, who've got very, very high propensity towards a more of a sort of gamified application process. So things like situational based judgment testing for nurses, which would be a game. Also looking at technology such as Snapchat to do things like snapplications, which again we hope will really, really connect in with that sort of pre-millennial audience, if you like, and get them engaged in wanting to work for us. So some more ideas here in terms of how the creative would look. Again, really sort of signalling that patient care and teeth are at the heart of everything that we do, what we're about as a business, but also we're able to play a little bit around the different sort of pillars of the creative, particularly around flexibility, being absolutely patient-centric there, and also giving people space and opportunity, which is a nod really to the career development opportunities that we have. So the next phase of where we're up to is about trying to get all of our colleagues really involved. So we're trying to be much less reliant on traditional recruitment advertising and move much more heavily towards social. So we're going out to all of our colleagues and asking them to get social with us. So we're looking to recruit a team of ambassadors across the business that will work in different roles, and they'll help us aggregate and create content which will bring the attributes to life. So we're running a competition at the moment, and we're encouraging our colleagues to share their stories with us on Facebook, and those can either be written stories, photo stories, emoji stories. We're really encouraging people to get creative, and the competition winners will get the jobs of being the brand ambassadors across the UK, and what we'll be doing is working with those to create really great content which we'll be using then to lead out across all of our social channels, and also we'll be using the winners of that competition to record video content which will go onto our careers website. And we are really hopeful that when we land all of these different things, we're going to see much more high quality of hires coming in through the employer brand work we're doing, and get a much better return really on our attraction spend. So hope you enjoyed that. I'll hand back to Sarah.
Thank you. Just one last slide, actually, before we take any questions. I think, just wanted to leave the presentation with a few things to think about. I think what you've seen there are three very different organisations. What we're seeing is that a lot of organisations right now are thinking about their employer brands, because in a high employment market, it's very, very difficult to find the people that you want. So it is all about differentiation. So whether you're a charity, whether you're a healthcare organisation or a food business, employer branding is becoming increasingly important. I think as well, for us, developing an employer brand, yes, how it looks is fantastic, and hopefully you like some of the creative designs that you've seen there. But for us, really, an employer brand is about taking those attributes or those values out to show people that the culture fit has to be right, because there's no point you attracting people into your organisations who aren't the same, the right kind of people to be successful. So using an employer brand enables you to give the right messages and allows people externally to self-select. That hopefully means that you then get the right people in, that those people stay for longer, attrition lowers, you have less people to hire. And that's the purpose for us around employer branding. I think, ultimately as well, what you want in your organisation are the best people, the highest quality, the high performers. Engaged people will perform better for you. So if you can keep those people that you hire engaged, wanting to work for you, seeing all the benefits of you as an organisation, as employers, that will keep them for longer as well. So thank you, and any questions?